How living abroad healed my appearance anxiety. In East Asia, women over 30 have expiry date in terms of their look and age. But after living in Europe for several years, I realized that women over 30 here are more carefree. They don't really care that much about their look or age. Hi, this is Cloris. How are you doing? So today I want to talk about appearance anxiety and how I heal from that when living abroad in Germany. Growing up in East Asia, the beauty standards are not just suggestions. You know, the checklist, the V-line jaw, the double eyelids, and the glass skin without any pores. For more details about the East Asian beauty standards, you can check out this link here. In that video, I compared the East Asian beauty standards with the Western beauty standards, and I share how I see these standards in two different worlds. You know, in East Asia, there are some aunties, you know, that kind of aunties who always stare at you at the family dinner and say, "Hey girl, you've got some acne. Just don't do much makeup and wash your face properly and just put on some moisturizing cream. Don't eat too much oily food and fries." As I had a lot of acne during my teenage years, I've always received this kind of comments from other people, not just the aunties, but also from other colleagues when I was working part-time during my studies. Even some people or my mom also told me that, "Have you ever considered removing that mole near your eye?" Because in Chinese fortune telling, that means a lot of crying and it's not a good mole. They said it always in a very concerned way, like they are doing you a favor or showing you how much they care about you. But all these comments just caused me a lot of anxieties about my look and my appearance, my outfit. For so many years, I found myself very ugly. I didn't like myself. When I looked at the mirror, I told myself, "Why you look so ugly?" I had so much anxiety with my look because I only heard people picking on me and thought I was ugly. Beyond the standards themselves, there was something deeper that shaped me. A culture that criticism is often framed as care. Comments like, "Your skin isn't good recently," "Oh, you gained weight." It's very common to see this kind of comments or criticism when people see each other. The message underneath was, "I'm pointing this out because I care so much about you." Now when I look back, it's actually a toxic culture because people never consider the self-esteem of the other person, especially children, because they had just no power to fight back. When I was a kid, when I felt offended, the adults would even gaslight me and accuse me of being too sensitive, too emotional, and too incompassionate. They said I got angry too easily. So I just internalized all these and thought it was my fault. There were days that I wouldn't leave the apartment because of the acne breakout, and I found myself so ugly that I didn't want to see other people or let other people see me. I didn't realize that it was that much of anxiety living quietly in my body. Later on in my 20s, I was traveling a lot in Europe and Latin America. When I got out of Asia, I saw so much diversity of people and so many different kinds of beauty norms or beauty standards in different countries. So I started to realize that maybe I'm not that ugly at all. If you are curious about East Asian parenting, you can check out this link. In that video, I talked about tiger mom and how it's related to the society and the culture in East Asia. And then later on in my early 20s, due to the hormone change, I didn't have acne, but I still had some acne scars and another scar from bike accident. So I used a lot of makeup to cover them, and I felt so insecure about my face. After so many years in the battlefield with acne, when I hit 30, I had another concern, which is wrinkles and aging. It's like a never-ending marathon. I had to constantly fight against different kinds of anxieties due to my appearance, my look at different ages. I'm so terrified of getting wrinkles, so I was always avoiding the sun. My self-worth is basically like a moving target, and I was so exhausted from chasing it. Later on in my mid-20s, I went to Germany partly for my master's studies and partly for escaping from the East Asian cultures such as the hustle culture, the performance society, social hierarchy, etc. But I didn't expect that it would heal my appearance anxiety. Appearance anxiety is intense worry about perceived flaws in your looks, leading to excessive self-checking, comparing to others, and some compulsive behaviors such as makeup and hairstyling in order to hide imperfections. It's also often linked to social anxieties and low self-esteem and impacting daily life, especially with social media influence. Therefore, I moved to Germany in 2018 for my studies, and I have been living here for almost 8 years now. I used to worry so much about my skin because of all the flaws. However, in the past years, I have changed. I've realized that I'm no longer judged by other people around me anymore. I've got older, but I worry less about my appearance. The German society emphasizes so much about being healthy, but it's not in an extreme way as that in East Asia. For example, we do have this BMI, but I once heard that this BMI is for Westerners, it's not for Asians. So for Asian, we should stay as low as possible for the BMI. So due to genetic and other factors, East Asians have like extremely harsh beauty standards for ourselves. We don't really care much about BMI, but we judge people based on how they look like. In Germany, there is something called Natürlichkeit. It's not just natural beauty, it's almost a pride of being unpolished. Here I always see women in different ages with zero makeup and wearing these windproof jackets. You know, it's like they are ready to climb the Mount Everest to just buy some breads. For some of them, hiking clothes and shoes can even be their daily outfits. One day I was talking to a male German friend about dating and he showed me his dating app. So I asked him like, what's your type? And he said, I just want a normal girl. But these girls in their pictures are wearing too much makeup. So I was quite shocked to hear that. So I wonder like how much makeup is too much makeup? After checking his dating app, from my perspective, they are actually fine. I didn't see that as too much makeup. So it's very interesting to see that from my friend's perspective. I didn't know that guys would have strong opinions about makeup. For myself, I've been wearing little makeup, not so much makeup, and I didn't see it as a problem until I heard this from my friend. For me, I just think that is a very personal preference. If wearing makeup makes you confident and happy, just go for it. In the past, I wore makeup just to cover my flaws because I didn't like my face. But these days, wearing makeup just makes me happy. It really depends on my mood. Sometimes I would still try out different palettes for fun. In that case, I think it's a healthy behavior. I didn't do it to just impress other people, but to impress myself. In recent years, I can go out without makeup, or I can even go on the first date without makeup. The first time I went on the date without makeup was in Tenerife when I was traveling there, and there were a lot of water activities, so I just wanted to be carefree, and the sun was quite strong there, so without makeup I could reapply my sunscreen more frequently. It turns out the dates went well, even though it didn't proceed further at the end. So afterwards, I've realized that all these are more about self-confidence than hiding your flaws. In East Asia, we try so hard to hide our age. However, in Germany, age is seen as, well, just age. I see women with laugh lines and gray hair, and they don't even need to fix it. Like my mom and other aunties, they might dye their hair black from time to time to make them look younger. So in Germany, especially for work, looking older means more experienced and more professional. Having wrinkles that match with the age would not be criticized but seen as just natural. However, in my hometown, Hong Kong, people would feel offended or worried if they are seen older than their actual age. People always prefer looking younger. They don't care about marital status. For ladies, they don't like being called Yi, like auntie, even though they are in their 30s. They would be happy if their friends' children call them 姐姐, which means like big sister, instead of auntie. It's a very unique culture. There are also some cultural norms about addressing someone as girl or woman, miss or Mrs. It's more related to how people look like or the age. It's a completely different concept from the Western world. For more details, you can check out this video. Earlier when I was in Canada and I met an old friend from university, we feel like our life just started after 30 because we finally settled down in a new place and living a better life that makes us feel more fulfilled. We are finally happy with ourselves. Even though we are single, we are just happy with our current life because we are finally independent mentally and financially. We finally got out of the toxic life in the past because we are both the eldest sister in the family. I remember she told me that being able to get old is actually a blessing. Not everyone has this chance to get old. So now I would appreciate the beauty of getting old and the wisdom I've gained from getting older. Also these days, I've seen more women in their 30s, 40s, 50s living more fully, not trying so hard to look younger, not apologizing for the lines on their faces. I think Sylvie in Emily in Paris is a very iconic model to show the beauty and wisdom of a sophisticated woman. And gradually, I deny the youth-centric beauty standards, realizing that aging doesn't mean losing value. Instead, we've gained so much experience that our younger selves wouldn't have. The active identity is also another biggest culture shock for me in Germany. Germans love being active. Back home, I was always avoiding the sun, but here, when the sun just comes out for 5 minutes, people would just leave all the things behind and just go outside to enjoy the sun. Because it's rare, especially in winter, people always want to get tan just to look like they have been always outside, to enjoy the vacations and the sun. They value a strong body that can help them to do things like bouldering, running, swimming, hiking, cycling, over a body that just looks a certain way. To be honest, I used to have more variety of outfits in Asia, but in Germany, with this harsh weather and temperature fluctuations, I dress more for practical reason. I would wear similar clothing and just those few pieces over and over, and I don't spend too much time thinking about the mix and match. I prioritize comfort and functionality more than aesthetic. Maybe it's not just about living in Germany, but just getting older. Other than that, the culture here also don't encourage people to stand out. It's better to just be normal and natural than being cute and soft, but of course one size doesn't fit all, and it's still a personal preference. The healing of my appearance anxiety didn't just happen overnight. In the past, if I didn't wear makeup, I felt unfinished. If I go outside, I would feel like I'm walking outside naked. I think the biggest change came to me during the pandemic, because during that time, people were just wearing masks, so I almost didn't wear makeup for 2 years, and slowly I got used to my bare face. These days, most of the time, I ran out the door just with sunscreen on. Now I'm living in Munich, and one day I went to an Asian supermarket in the city center with bare face, and I bumped into an acquaintance. I didn't wear makeup, but I still felt comfortable, and I don't worry how other people see me anymore. It's really a big change, and in fact, 99% of time, no one cares how I look like except myself. I don't look at the reflections in the glass or mirrors often anymore. I don't care if my lipstick is smudged when I eat. My getting ready time went from 45 minutes to 10 minutes, so that saves me time and energy as well. So here are the things that genuinely helped me heal. First of all, reducing self-surveillance. I consciously reduced how often I checked the mirrors, reflections of my phone camera. I only put the mirror in the bathroom and the entrance of my apartment, not the desk anymore, so I don't check myself and see my pores from time to time. I don't need to monitor myself all the time. Second, dressing for nervous system regulation. Instead of dressing to look acceptable, I dress to feel grounded. Warm jackets, soft fabrics, and shoes that allows me to walk comfortably. Comfort became a signal of self-trust. Thirdly, letting myself be visibly imperfect. We just have to accept that we are human beings and we all have flaws, and we are just not perfect. We are all allowed to show up tired, awkward, lazy, unsure. It's just human. Lastly, appreciate your body. In the past, I used to hate my oily skin. It's so oily and it caused a lot of acne and made my face look very shiny, and I didn't like it at all. I just have less problem with my skin because it's so dry here, and my oily skin just fits perfectly here. I don't have to put a lot of cream. It just works well in this climate. People with oily skin also age slower and have less wrinkles, so I started to appreciate my oily skin. That allows me to feel comfortable in this environment. I've been hating my small body for so many years. Since I was a kid, when I went to body check, the doctor or the nurse would tell how tall the kid is compared to 100 of other kids at the same age. I was always ranked as a small kid, and my mom was so worried that I was not healthy enough. I was too small compared to other kids, and I was too skinny. But now in Europe, I think being small is fine, and I can always enjoy more space than other bigger people, just like I have more leg room in the plane or the bus, so I enjoy more comfort. Looking like a minor is inconvenient in a lot of cases, and it causes a lot of inconvenience, especially at work, or got some unfair treatment sometimes because I just look like a kid, and some people just don't respect me as an adult. That's the bad side, but for the good side, I just have more hilarious stories to tell. So if you are interested, you can check out this video in which I share some hilarious stories when people saw me as a kid. So yeah, we can always look at the bright side. We can't change a lot how we look, but we can always see ourselves in a different lens or try to put ourselves in different culture. But no matter where we are, we shouldn't let the cultural norms define us. And you are the only one person who can decide how you want to be perceived. So now I'm in my early 30s and I have fine lines, I have pores, and I have eye bags, but I've never felt more myself, and I've never appreciated myself more than now. If you are watching this and you are in this anxiety spiral, I just want to say your face is a record of your life, not a performance for other people. You are allowed to age, you are allowed to look tired, you are allowed to go barefaced. Of course, you are allowed to wear makeup. If you want to hear more sharing like this, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel, and I will share more stories about my messy, unpolished life in Germany, as well as some interesting discoveries of other cultures. If you want me to share other topics, please let me know in the comments as well, and I will make another video about it. Thanks for hanging out with me. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!